is going on, guys? JD from New York here. Thank you so much for tuning back into the channel. Official SmackDown Live review tonight for October 11th, 2016, which is also the official launch of WWE 2K17, man. What a day it is, and I can't wait to begin my journey on 2K17, man. So, usually I say I'm going to keep this brief, and I never do, but I'm going to try and keep it brief because not a lot happened tonight of great importance, being that the next pay-per-view after Hell in a Cell is going to be a co-branded pay-per-view with both Raw and SmackDown being represented, which is Survivor Series 2016. So that's what we got going on here. Obviously, SmackDown made a huge announcement, and this was the biggest announcement of the night on SmackDown Live. Both Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon came out and they stated that they want to make Survivor Series a big deal once again. And Survivor Series typically has been a big deal, man. It has been a big deal. It's one of the big four pay-per-views. And WWE has strayed away from what makes Survivor Series so traditional and so special. And we were all wondering and we're all throwing out ideas, what can WWE do to make Survivor Series special again? A lot of different podcasts, a lot of different entities in the wrestling community have given their thoughts on this. Obviously, we have the rumor of Bill Goldberg and Brock Lesnar having their fight, their one-on-one, their rematch at Survivor Series this year. Obviously, that was reported by Meltzer, Jim Ross, and several other sources. Goldberg will be on Monday Night Raw this coming Monday to answer the challenge of Paul Heyman as it concerns this match for, hopefully, Survivor Series. You know, I think that's where WWE is going with this. And they could really use this to amp up the card. But on top of that, on top of that marquee attraction, you got to get down and give us something that is great for Survivor Series. And that is the traditional 5-on-5 or 4-on-4. This year it's going to be the 5-on-5 traditional Survivor Series matches. And I've been wanting War Games to come back, man. I've been wanting that brand competitive atmosphere, you know, between Monday Night Raw and SmackDown. And War Games would have been perfect for that. You got Team SmackDown and you got Team Raw inside War Games. Old school style, old school WCW rules. I think that would have been great. And make it like the All-Star game, man. You know? And Solomonster made a great reference to this. You know? This is what he would do as far as Survivor Series goes. And I think this is a fucking great idea. You have it inside War Games. You make it like the MLB All-Star Game. Now, if you guys watch Major League Baseball, the winner of the All-Star Game, whether it's the National League or the American League, the winner of the All-Star Game gets home field advantage in the World Series. WWE can take a page out of that book and do the same thing for WrestleMania. The winner of Survivor Series inside War Games between Raw and SmackDown has their main title, the WWE Championship or the Universal Championship, headline WrestleMania. I think that's a great idea. And then whoever wins the Royal Rumble, obviously, you guys know how that goes. If it's a Raw guy, obviously he challenges for the Universal Championship. If it's a SmackDown guy, obviously he challenges for the WWE Championship. And that would be the co-main event. So that's what I would do. I think that's a brilliant idea laid out by Solomonster. And I think that's the best way to go about it, man. I think that creates a competitive atmosphere. I think that ups the ante. I think that even makes Survivor Series even more special if you want to do that. If you want to make it a yearly traditional Raw versus SmackDown co-branded pay-per-view where both brands are going at it, put it inside War Games, man. You know, Survivor Series, the traditional Survivor Series matches, WWE really doesn't pay homage to that, man. They don't make it feel important. And going into this, I don't think they're going to make it feel important, you know? I don't know whether Raw, SmackDown are going to appear on both shows. I don't know what's going on here leading up to Survivor Series. But having that War Game stipulation really ups the ante. Having that stipulation where the winner of that match gets home field advantage at WrestleMania, that ups the ante. I think that's just a brilliant idea, man. So Survivor Series is really looking quite special this year, being that it's going to be both a Raw and SmackDown co-branded pay-per-view, and we're going to see both brands collide in a match. Not just the main guys, man, but the women, Daniel Bryan and Shane McMahon also mentioned that it's going to be a 5-on-5 traditional women's Survivor Series match. The best 5 of Raw against the best 5 of SmackDown, being that that's pretty much all they got, you know? So it's going to be whoever we've been seeing on Monday Night Raw against whoever we've been seeing on SmackDown, you know? And he mentioned something about tag teams, a 5-on-5 tag team Survivor Series match. I don't know how that's going to work, you know? I don't know how that's going to work whatsoever. But that's what they laid out on the table for Monday Night Raw. You know, we're going to see if Stephanie McMahon and Mick Foley are going to answer the call for Survivor Series. We probably will, you know, we'll get some sort of announcement before Hell in a Cell, being that Survivor Series takes place 3 weeks after Hell in a Cell. So it's all coming together pretty interestingly, man. So I'm looking forward to Survivor Series if it's going to be, you know, a co-branded pay-per-view, a co-branded atmosphere like that. But it's going to be up to WWE to up the ante, man. Make it a little bit more special. Make it a little bit more prestigious, you know? But we'll see what happens with that. I like the announcement. That was the biggest announcement from SmackDown tonight. Other than that, man, not much happened coming out of No Mercy. I was expecting a full fallout, and I really didn't give thought to Survivor Series taking place, or at least Survivor Series talk going into this show. I thought they would build some sort of friction between whomever coming out of No Mercy and start something new, but they didn't do that, man. They pretty much picked up the pieces wherever they fell after No Mercy, and we've seen some interaction between Ambrose and Styles. Cena was absent on tonight's show. I don't know what he was, you know, what he was doing or what he had going on, but he was absent from tonight's show. We've seen Kane and Randy Orton team up against Bray Wyatt and a returning Luke Harper. We've seen Ziggler and The Miz. Several more interactions between those guys tonight, you know, with the Spirit Squad included. Not much really happened as far as progression goes coming out of No Mercy, but like I said, with the Survivor Series coming up, there's not much the WWE can do if it's going to be a co-branded pay-per-view, and they're going to try and get everybody on the same page, you know, going against Monday Night Raw's best. So, like I said, we'll see what happens. But tonight's show, man, it was an entertaining show, and I will say this. A lot of people came at me on Twitter, well, if Monday Night Raw did shows like this, you'd automatically fucking rip the show to shreds. And I said, listen, SmackDown has been consistent week after week after week, man. They really haven't put on a bad show in several weeks. And if you're consistent with me, you'll get a pass. And if shows like this happen every now and then, but you're showing me that you can be consistent, I'll let it go. You know, I'll sweep it under the rug. So whatever we've seen tonight as far as comedy goes with Ellsworth and, you know, whatever happened with the Spirit Squad, I'll let it go, man. Obviously, these things really didn't play into any major storylines, but I will let it go because SmackDown has been consistent, more consistent than Monday Night Raw. Monday Night Raw needs to step up to the plate and hit a fucking grand slam, man. They need to show me that they are serious about getting the booking right and getting creative right and making things make sense and not booking based on the fact that you're putting Sasha and Charlotte inside Hell in a Cell for the sake of saying, you know what, we're having a first here at Hell in a Cell, man. No. Book it with logic, book it with creativity, and book your matches and your storylines based on why we're here, man. Because of wrestling. Because of conflict between one or the other. Don't put a fucking 25-foot cage around two women who don't belong inside Hell in a Cell for the sake of saying, we did this first. Sasha and Charlotte did this first. This is the first time two women are going to be inside Hell in a Cell, man. And I went on a fucking 20-minute rant explaining why these two women do not need Hell in a Cell. Everything that you're seeing here was done so much better in NXT. And they didn't have the fucking gimmick, you know? NXT did everything right, and they invested you in the storylines. They invested you in all the women that they had on their fucking programming. And they did it based around wrestling. And you know what? They did it based on who wanted the NXT Women's Championship bad enough. And whoever wanted it bad enough obviously was going to step up to the plate. And when Sasha won the title, and when Sasha had to go against Bayley, and Bayley was the one chasing and chasing and chasing, and she never had that fucking title before, everything just came to a volcanic eruption in NXT at TakeOver Brooklyn, man. And when she won that title, it was because of the storyline and the fact that everybody in that building and everybody watching at home was invested in both women, both Sasha's character and Bayley's character, and the fact that Bayley was chasing and was the babyface, and she deserved it, and they wanted to see her overcome all the odds against the fucking villainous Sasha Banks. It was based on character development, storyline, the championship, and most importantly, wrestling. The women put on a wrestling clinic better than the men did that night. And that's what made this Revolution so special. The fact that now you're taking the Revolution and you're making a mockery of it because you want to be the first to say, you know what, we're putting these two women inside a 25-foot cage, when the cage merely will be there as nothing more as an aesthetic, man. It's going to be eye candy. It's bullshit. It is absolutely bullshit, man. And this is what I went on a rant about. And I don't even know what the fuck I'm talking about, you know? But the fact that SmackDown is doing things consistently right and Monday Night Raw is trying so hard and making a fool out of themselves. That's where I was going with this. SmackDown is doing things consistently right, and Monday Night Raw is desperately trying to grab your attention and make believe that the revolution is in full effect. Meanwhile, there is no revolution. Bayley, Sasha, and Charlotte can barely be called a revolution, man. A revolution is a revolution of the entire women's division. You know, we're not seeing that on Monday Night Raw. We're seeing the Bayley, Sasha, and Charlotte revolution. Nia Jax, where's she been? She hasn't been on Monday Night Raw in 3 weeks, right? You got Summer Rae, who's itching to come back. She's even started a fucking hashtag on Twitter. You know, people wondering where Summer Rae is. People thought she was fired. Alicia Fox. We all know Paige's problems, being that she had just got suspended again for 60 fucking days for a doctor's note that she failed to get to WWE Medical. So, it's not a revolution, man. It's WWE desperately trying to make you believe there's a revolution. But I went on a rant, and I'm not going to rant anymore about this. You guys know my feelings on what Monday Night Raw is doing. SmackDown is consistent. Tonight, you know, it was one of those shows that was entertaining but didn't really lead to anywhere. And SmackDown is allowed one of these shows. So that's all I'm going to say about that. Show opened up with Ziggler and The Miz. And Ziggler saying that we did it. He wins the Intercontinental Championship. He didn't know how things were going to go until Sunday. And he was even making mention that the cable networks and the cable guides were already predicting his demise. And he's here with the Intercontinental Championship. So then The Miz comes out and Maurice, and they pretty much looked like they were attending a funeral, man. They came out. Maurice was fucking pasty white. She had these big sunglasses on. She had her head down as if they were fucking paying their respects to a beloved friend who just passed away. And The Miz calls for silence. And he mentions he'd like to pay respects to the now dead Intercontinental Championship because it's not around his waist. And he feels like Dolph Ziggler's not going to do the Intercontinental Championship justice. He says that, you know, people like him get the girl and the gold. And he's already got the girl, and now he wants his gold back. Ziggler shows us a clip of The Miz crying on Sunday at No Mercy after he beat The Miz for the Intercontinental Championship. And the Spirit Squad come out. And they are scheduled in a handicap match versus Dolph Ziggler. That's both Kenny and Mikey. Now, I don't understand why the Spirit Squad is back on WWE television. I hope this is merely just a 2 or 3 week deal. They look so out of place. I don't know what else to say about these guys, man. Kenny, you know, he looks the same like I remember him back in the day. But Mikey looks out of shape. They do not belong in this new era. And their act is cringeworthy right now, man. Absolutely cringeworthy. We tolerated it barely when they were McMahon's lackeys against DX. In this new era, in this brand split initiative, SmackDown and Raw era, I can't stand it, man. It has no place on my television. Dolph Ziggler beat the Spirit Squad with a super kick to Kenny. And that was pretty much it, man. They weren't going to job out Dolph Ziggler after he just won the Intercontinental Championship in epic fashion at No Mercy. So the Spirit Squad did what they had to do. Hopefully, we do not see them any longer, man, because they are no longer needed for this storyline. Dolph Ziggler bested both Kenny and Mikey tonight. Super kick to Kenny. Close to 7 minutes to open the show. Post-match, Miz goes after Ziggler, but Heath Slater and Rhino, of all people, make the save. And I am assuming these guys are going to play a big role, both Miz and Ziggler, in Team SmackDown going against Monday Night Raw. So more than likely, they are going to have to coexist, and we'll see what happens with that. So I don't know what's going on. Going to be interesting to see in the coming weeks. Shane McMahon and Daniel Bryan then made that announcement about Survivor Series 5-on-5 Raw versus SmackDown Survivor Series match. We'll see what happens with that. That was the most important thing to take away from this show. Naomi versus Carmella. and Carmella jumps her before the bell. And one thing I did not mention, man. I don't know if this is going to be an every week thing, but I think this is WWE just, doing something right for once. During every commercial break, man, we seen the action that was taking place side by side with the fucking commercials. Now, the last time that they did this was the draft episode where the draft was taking place. And I like this. Now, obviously, we're not going to be getting this every week. We're not going to be spoiled with this pleasure every week. We're going to get the same fucking commercials each and every week that interrupt matches at the worst fucking times. But tonight, commercials were actually tolerable, man. There wasn't commercials every fucking 15 minutes. And when there was, at least we seen the fucking action going on as the commercial was taking place. So, really can't complain about commercials tonight on SmackDown. So, they go to commercial break after Carmella jumps Naomi before the bell. And at the end of this thing, Nikki Bella comes down for a distraction. Naomi rolls up Carmella for the pin at 2 minutes and 57 seconds. So not only did Carmella lose at No Mercy, Nikki Bella gets her revenge again by a slight distraction. And what's her name? Naomi rolls her up for a pin, 2 minutes and 57 seconds. Obviously, all women involved will be on SmackDown's team against Monday Night Raw's women. And you know who is going to be on that side of the women's division. Jimmy Uso and Chad Gable, they went one-on-one. 2 minutes and 50 seconds here. Jimmy Uso beat Chad Gable with a roll-up with assistance from Jey Uso. There was a cross arm breaker over the ropes that had Jimmy in trouble, but Jimmy grabs a roll-up with Jey holding him in place for the pin. JBL was going crazy, saying that this was a brilliant plan. American Alpha Man continues to be on the receiving end of a loss after a loss after a loss. Seemingly the Usos have American Alpha's number, but when they actually get the tag team championships, then we're going to see American Alpha get their revenge and slowly get their comeuppance against the Usos, man. And it's going to be great. And I mentioned this before, when American Alpha gets their revenge on the Usos, man, it's going to be something that we're all invested in, because a lot of us now are wondering, what's going on with American Alpha, man? They were supposed to be the head and shoulders of this tag team division. Then the Usos happened, and then they turned heel, and then they changed their attitudes, and they had new music and new appearance and new look, And now WWE is having the Usos being built up as a solid heel threat, because they know American Alpha is the future of this tag team division, not only on SmackDown, but in all of WWE, man. These guys are major money players. And when they get the opportunity to take those titles off the Usos when the time is right and when everything is finally built up beautifully, it's going to be a big moment, man, and everybody's going to be invested, What happened when American Alpha beat, who was it? The Revival for the tag team championships? I mean, look at the fucking explosion that they got when they won the tag team championships down at NXT. Man, people were so ready for these guys to win the tag team titles. And that's because the Revival played such a great villainous role. And the Usos are doing the same thing now with American Alpha on the main roster on SmackDown. And when it happens, it's going to give us the same result, man. And I can't wait to see it happen, because that's the great thing about storytelling, man. When you tell a great story and you have it make sense over weeks and weeks and weeks of progress, when the final sequence to this thing takes place and American Alpha ends this thing by winning the tag team championships, we're all going to be invested. And the Usos will be built up nicely as great villains and a great heel team. And American Alpha will finally get their tag team championship reign and be the top baby faces of the division. It's going to be a great moment, man. I can't wait to see it happen. But I don't mind that the Usos are getting the one-up on American Alpha right now. It's all part of the plan. And I can't wait to see what's next for both teams. We got the Hype Bros talking about picking up women and Ghostbusters when the Ascension interrupt. I guess we're getting a tag team feud. I know last week the Ascension came out to stare down the Hype Bros in their match, and they did it old school style, man. They came out, stood at the ramp, and watched Hype Bros win their match against the Vaudevillains, and that was pretty much it, man. Very old school. And they're, again, interrupting the Hype Bros. And it seems like one of these two teams is going to be the next in line, or at least move up the ladder in the tag team division. So, pretty interesting, man. At least we have some tag team development on SmackDown, whereas Monday Night Raw, there really is no tag team development. You got Sheamus and Cesaro, who is not really a real tag team. You got the New Day, who are getting stale by the week. And then you got Enzo and Cass, who are doing absolutely nothing on Monday Night Raw. And then you got the announce team pretending that Gallows and Anderson are the fucking top dogs in the division. Meanwhile, they've been fed to Roman Reigns left and right. They lost to the New Day a couple of times, and they've been nothing but a fucking joke and an embarrassment to that division. But we're supposed to believe, because Gallows and Anderson got one victory over the Golden Truth, now they're all of a sudden going to be built up, and we should take them seriously. Man, no, it's going to take months and months and months for people to fucking invest their time back in Gallows and Anderson. You should have fucking had them dominant when they first came out. You know? The tag team division on Monday Night Raw, just like the women's division, is in fucking shambles. Who gives a shit? Nothing important's going on. On SmackDown, at least, you know, they have teams. You know, it's a lack of teams. It's a lack of women on SmackDown, but at least they're utilizing everybody and getting everybody television time. All I'm asking is for, where the fuck's Breezango? Where is Tyler Breeze and Fandango, man? I know Tyler Breeze tweeted recently that Breezango will be back on SmackDown very, very soon. I can't wait, man. They are going to be a great addition to that tag team division, and I can't wait to see what happens with those guys. They are going to be the team to look out for when they come back. But the Hype Bros and the Ascension looks like they're building up for a mini feud here, while the Usos and Slater and Rhino have their thing, and the Usos are battling the American Alpha all simultaneously. At least all the teams are getting involvement. It seems like the Vaudevillains are the odd team out, though. It seems like WWE either doesn't care about the Vaudevillains, the gimmick is not getting over, people don't care about the gimmick, but they're a solid tag team, man. They are a talented tag team that the gimmick is underappreciated. People don't get it, but it's different, and I like different. And they're a great tag team, man. Hopefully, the Vaudevillains are given some love as well, because everybody else right now seems to be getting at least some love in the tag team division. AJ Styles versus James Ellsworth. Yes, I am not reading this. I'm not reading this incorrectly. This actually did happen. James Ellsworth, everybody's favorite jobber, the modern-day Brooklyn Brawler himself, James Ellsworth. And this was a non-title match, of course. But the fact that James Ellsworth and AJ Styles went 10 minutes on SmackDown speaks volumes, man. Seriously. This match went 10 fucking minutes. And it was nothing but a joke, man. It was nothing but comedy hour here in this match. Non-title, AJ Styles comes out and he says, you know, he won on Sunday. He's bragging about his win on Sunday. He beat Ambrose. He beat Cena in a single match, and that's simply phenomenal. Everybody's a bunch of losers wanting to cheer Cena when he's off trying to be Kelly Ripa's co-host. And they're cheering for some weirdo named Dean Ambrose. Most champions would take a year off after a win like he had at No Mercy. But AJ isn't even taking a night off. Instead, he's giving somebody a major opportunity tonight. And he ushers out someone who's going to have an ultimate opportunity on SmackDown to challenge the WWE champion. Out comes Dean Ambrose. But that's not who AJ Styles had in mind. So, obviously, the next guy that comes out is his opponent, and that is James Ellsworth, man. He comes down, and Daniel Bryan officially makes the match happen tonight on SmackDown. What happened here, man? I had a miserable fucking day, man. This was one of the worst days ever. And you could probably see it in my eyes, man. I am legit fucking dead to the world. I'm exhausted. And I laughed for the first time during this match all day. I mean, we had AJ Styles give James Ellsworth the calf crusher, and he was tapping out. Dean Ambrose had his back turned while AJ was giving James Ellsworth the calf crusher, and he was on his cell phone making a personal call, man. He was laying sideways, and he was on the phone chatting it up, and he didn't give a shit. He didn't give a shit, man. I laughed so fucking hard. And JBL's yelling, he can't hear that behind him. James Ellsworth's fucking tapping out. Ellsworth is thrown to the outside. Dean throws him back in, only to stop at this point to flirt with some fucking beast-looking woman in the crowd, signing autographs. He was looking at her tits. He was taking a fucking selfie with her, man. This was hilarious. Dean Ambrose played a great referee here, man. Not giving a flying fuck what happened with AJ Styles in this match. Back in, Styles clash to Ellsworth. AJ, 2 count. Dean stops and stares at him before the 3 count. He don't even make the 3 count. Then he delivers the dirty deeds to AJ, lays out AJ. Ellsworth gets a very close 2. AJ kicks out. Dean heads to the outside to steal a soda before giving AJ another dirty deeds. And this was a fast count as Ellsworth was placed on top of AJ for the cover. Ellsworth actually pinned the WWE Champion, man. Normally, I'd be pissed at this, and really, it doesn't make any sense. I mean, AJ just beat John Cena and Dean Ambrose in a fucking great triple threat match. Meanwhile, you got James Ellsworth here pinning the WWE Champion. Shouldn't be happening on SmackDown. But the fact that this really isn't going to do anything to AJ Styles because Dean Ambrose was fucking him over, it really shouldn't be taken as anything serious. But listen, man, I laughed. It was entertaining, and that's all we can ask for. You see, if Monday Night Raw did this, the only one I would allow this to happen with is Jericho. Everybody else, no. I wouldn't let it slide. I let this slide on SmackDown simply because SmackDown is being consistent. That's it. If they weren't being consistent and they were putting on shows like Monday Night Raw every week, then I'd have a fucking problem with it. Like, what the fuck am I watching? But the fact that SmackDown has been good week in and week out, I'm going to sweep this one under the rug, man. It was very entertaining, and you know what? I laughed, and that's all I could ask for. I'm glad they made me laugh because I certainly could have used it. Randy Orton asks Kane if he wants to go on the ride through his nightmares. Kane agrees, but says Orton has issues. Obviously, that was the main event. Wyatt and Luke Harper versus Kane and Randy Orton. I mean, it's tough for me to get involved in this match, man. It's tough for me to get invested. I just don't care about Bray Wyatt right now, and that's a sad thing because I love Bray's character. I wish they had more for him. Obviously, you know how I feel about Kane. Luke Harper, it's great to see him back. His presence being back on SmackDown adds somewhat of some more depth to SmackDown. They desperately needed that. So having Luke Harper back is only a good thing. Randy Orton, I mean, I just don't care about it, man. They had me interested for 2 weeks, but all I'm going to say is I'm glad Bray Wyatt got a pin here, man, and it was relatively clean. Wyatt family played mind games with Randy Orton. As he was going for a hot tag to Kane, the lights went out, and Kane magically disappeared, man. Right before Randy was going to make the tag, the lights went out, and Luke Harper was standing there in Kane's spot. So, I don't know what happened to Kane. Magically vanished. Luke Harper took his spot. Randy Orton was so stunned to see Luke Harper standing there instead of Kane as he was making the tag when the lights came back on. He turned around and was met with his sister Abigail. 1, 2, 3. And that was pretty much how SmackDown went off the air, man. I don't know where they're going with this. I don't know why they're continuing the Kane, or the Randy Orton, I should say, the Randy Orton feud with the Wyatt family. But where's it going, man? Where's it going? Before you know it, it's going to be treading everybody's patience, and nobody's going to be interested in it. As of right now, I'm not interested in it. I don't know where they go from here. Bray Wyatt's already got two victories over Randy Orton. One at No Mercy, thanks to Luke Harper, and now tonight on SmackDown, thanks to Luke Harper. It was relatively clean because it was a tag team situation, and they played some mind games with Randy Orton. But where does it go from here? I mean, why should I be invested and interested in this, man? It should have ended at No Mercy because it was nothing but a put together feud at the last minute anyway. But SmackDown, really nothing of importance happened tonight. It was an entertaining show. It made me laugh. And coming out of No Mercy, I expected something more, but I was okay with what we were given tonight because the big announcement was that Survivor Series, for the first time in a long time, is going to feel special. Both Raw and SmackDown are going to be competing against each other in traditional Survivor Series 5-on-5 matches, not only with the big guys, but the women and the tag teams as well. Plus, obviously, we have Goldberg answering the challenge of Lesnar and Paul Heyman on Monday. So Survivor Series, it's actually being built up better now than Hell in a Cell is. And Survivor Series is coming after Hell in a Cell. Go figure. Go figure, man. But that's your SmackDown review. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Let me know what's going on. Let me know what you're thinking down in the comments below. Look out for some more great WWE content this week. Lucha Underground and NXT review tomorrow. Off the Script on Friday, as always. WWE 2K17 content going to be uploaded throughout the week. So make sure you guys have your eyes peeled on the channel, man. So that's all I got for you. I'm going to go lay down. Actually, I'm going to go play some WWE 2K17, man. I'm going to go fuck around with the game, maybe get some recording done. Until then, hit that thumbs up. Follow me on Twitter, @JD from NY206. If you're new to the channel, please subscribe. Thank you for 66,000 subscribers and growing. And I'll see you guys right back here for Lucha Underground and your NXT review on Wednesday night. Talk to you guys later.